Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, and welcome once again to the Global Business Insight podcast.
Welcome everyone to the Global Business Insights podcast, episode 3 of our series on ethical AI. We're delighted to be joined once again by Dr. Milan Kumar and Dr. Charlotte de Brabandt. We're talking further about the Kumar-deBrabandt model. This episode is going to be on monetization. So we're going to go straight into things. Milan, welcome again and great to have you on. Could you tell us more about the Kumar-deBrabandt AI data economy model, and this time focusing on monetization, please?
Thanks, Max. So the Kumar-deBrabandt AI data economy model is a holistic blueprint for building, scaling, and monetizing AI responsibly. So that also means integrating autonomous intelligence, generative innovation, inclusive adoption, and sustainable revenue into one cohesive ecosystem. So the data monetization is an essential part of the modern data economy, where companies learn to maximize the finance value of their data. The focus is on using the data as a resource to generate direct and indirect revenue stream. So in this Kumar-deBrabandt AI data economy model, when we talk about the monetization, so it has a 4M framework. So the focus is all about turning AI and data into measurable business value. The key pillars are monetizable data, strategy monetization, monetizing the models, as well as measuring metrics. The outcome, we can clearly expect a pathway for data to revenue and the return of investment.
Perfect. Thanks, Milan. That's great. Great start to the podcast and brilliant to get into the detail here. Charlotte, over to you. What to you are the primary revenue streams organizations can create by monetizing their procurement data through these AI-driven platforms, do you think?
Well, Max, thank you for that question. And I also just wanted to add thank you for having us back. Delighted to be here with Milan. So just to answer your questions, so organizations, they can create multiple sophisticated revenue streams actually by transforming all of their procurement data from operational byproducts into valuable market intelligence products, and of course, all the services that are involved. So the whole monetization potential stems from the unique insights that procurement data actually can provide about market dynamics, supplier performance that we've seen, also industry trends that external organizations cannot really access through the public sources. So we have Benchmark as a service offering represents one of the most immediate monetization opportunities. Organizations with this extensive procurement history, they can start to aggregate and anonymize their performance data to create industry benchmarks that other companies have to purchase to optimize their own procurement strategies. So that's a tremendous factor that we are seeing. And these services provide comparative metrics for cost analysis, supplier performance standards. We've seen negotiation outcomes which are improving, and just in general, operational efficiency that help subscribers really understand their competitive positioning and identity to just improve a lot of opportunities. But we have also premium benchmarking services, and that can I've seen 50,000 to 200,000 annually from enterprise subscribers who value access to all this proprietary performance standards. Then if we look at predictive analytics and market intelligence services leverage AI-powered analysis of procurement platforms. These are used to forecast market trends and also look at supplier financial stability, also commodity price improvements that we've seen, and supply chain disruptions. So organizations with a comprehensive supplier network and transaction histories, they can start to generate valuable market predictions that can benefit financial services firms, also strategic consultancies, and other procurement organizations. And these predictive services often operate on subscription models with pricing based on forecast accuracy and market impact. And then I would like to talk about supplier risk intelligent platforms, monetize comprehensive supplier monitoring and assessment capabilities. And organizations that continuously track supplier financial health and operational performance and market positioning, they can package these insights into risk assessment services that can then inevitably help also other organizations make all these informed supplier selection decisions. We have insurance companies, financial institutions, and procurement organizations. They do pay premium prices for all this accurate supplier risk assessments that help them avoid costly supplier failures. And then, Max, I just want to touch upon three more points. So we have data enhanced consulting services combined. They combine this whole proprietary procurement data with consulting expertise to create high value advisory offerings. We have seen that organizations, they can leverage these data insights to provide strategic procurement consulting, supply chain optimization services, or also industry specific advisory support that command premium pricing due to the data driven insights that competitors they cannot really replicate. And then we have the whole collaborative intelligence networks. They create revenue through participation in industry-wide data sharing consortiums where multiple organizations contribute data and share in the revenue generated from collective intelligence services. And these networks, they can generate substantial revenue while providing participants with market insights that exceed what any individual organization could possibly develop independently. And lastly, platform monetization. That involves creating procurement marketplaces that we've really seen rise and evolve over the last years. Also, technology platforms that generate transaction fees, subscription revenues. We've seen data licensing income while facilitating buyer-supplier connections and those transactions.
Thanks, Charlotte. I think that was a really in-depth explanation of all of those areas where monetization of AI is going to come from. For anyone looking at this, I think that's a brilliant overview of how businesses are starting up now and using AI to actually generate revenue and become what we're seeing as new business offerings for this day and age using these new technologies out there. So I think for anyone with an entrepreneurial mindset, it's a great overview to listen to and go through. Let's come back to Milan now and drill a bit further into this. So if we're looking at these benchmark as a service offerings that you were talking about there, how do they work? What does procurement data, what sort of value is that to external organizations?
Yeah, when we talk about benchmark as a service, so what we have seen is when it comes to benchmark as a service offering, which transforms the procurement performance data into a structured intelligence product that provide the external organization with competitive insights and operational improvement guidance. So these services aggregate the procurement data across multiple dimensions. So these dimensions are like the cost performance. This dimension could be the supplier quality metrics, delivery performance, innovation outcome, as well as the contract terms. So to create the industry standard benchmark that individual organizations cannot develop independently. So the value proposition centers on providing external organizations with performance standard and competitive metrics that enable data-driven procurement improvement. A manufacturing company with extensive supplier performance data across multiple categories can create benchmark services that shows other manufacturers how their supplier costs, quality metrics, and the delivery performance compared to industry leaders. So these benchmarks provide actionable insights that help subscribers identify improvement opportunities to validate their procurement strategies and the support business case development for procurement investment. Then also when we think about the data aggregation and anonymization process, so that ensures that individual supplier information remains confidential while creating valuable comparative intelligence. The generative AI systems can analyze the patterns across hundreds or thousands of procurement relationships to identify the performance trend, the cost structure, and the best practices that provide meaningful guidance without revealing proprietary information about specific supplier or competitive procurement strategies. Then further, when we also think about the segmentation and customization capabilities, which enhances the benchmark value by providing industry specific, geography specific, or even the company size specific comparisons that offer more relevant guidance than generic benchmarks. Organizations can create targeted benchmark product for different market segments, enabling specialized pricing strategies and enhance the customer value proposition. Continuous updating and trend analysis also provide the subscribers with evolving benchmarks that reflect current market conditions rather than the static historic data. So the real-time benchmark updates enable subscribers to track the performance on a regular basis and improvement over the time and adjust the strategies based on the changing industry standards and the market dynamics. Market intelligence integration combines procurement benchmark with broader market analysis to provide a context about why certain performance levels occur and how they might change based on market condition. So this enhanced intelligence commands premium pricing because it provides the strategic insights rather than just performance comparison. So a subscription model typically range from $25,000 annually for a basic benchmark access to even it can go up to 150,000 plus for comprehensive real-time benchmark services with custom analysis and strategic insight. So these price reflects a value organizations derive from competitive intelligence that could be that would be impossible to develop independently.
Wow. Thanks, Milan. Having worked in a variety of procurement roles myself, procurement consultancies, and having worked with lots of data that was manually extracted, I'm having a lot of ideas just myself, entrepreneurially, about how this all works. And I'm hoping that anyone listening to this will start to have that kind of aha moment where you're seeing a lot of AI driven businesses start up. And I'm sure there's lots of entrepreneurially minded business folk out there that are hopefully listening to this podcast and thinking, that's how I make it work. So the insight you're giving here, I think, is really cutting edge, and anyone looking to get into this should really be listening to this detail, because the insights here are critical to starting up what we'll see as the business of the future, really running this. Charlotte, let's come back to you if we could, please. So what would you see are the key considerations for developing more sustainable and ethical monetization models around AI procurement solutions?
Oh, yeah, developing sustainable and ethical monetization models. Well, that definitely requires balancing value creation with responsible data and competitive fairness and long-term relationship preservation. So organizations, they must consider multiple stakeholder perspectives. We also need to take into account suppliers, customers, industry partners, and different societies or communities while creating these monetization strategies that then generate revenue without compromising our ethical standards or damaging essential business relationships. But then also, we need to look at value proposition sustainability, and that ensures that monetization models they create genuine value for customers rather than just extracting value from information asymmetries or market advantages that might be temporary or unfair. We see sustainable models solve real problems for customers, provide a lot of insights that cannot be obtained anywhere else, and also create these mutual benefits that then strengthen rather than exploit business relationships. And this requires clear articulation of customer value and competitive differentiation and long-term viability of our monetization approach. And then I would like to talk about data governance and consent frameworks, as they establish very much the foundation of ethical monetization by ensuring that all data used that it aligns with appropriate permissions and privacy expectations and regulatory requirements. And organizations must develop comprehensive consent processes that clearly explain how supplier data will be used for monetization purposes, what protections exist for proprietary information, and how suppliers benefit from data sharing arrangements. And ethical monetization, it requires genuine informed consent rather than having these buried terms in vendor agreements. And then, Max, I just want to touch upon a couple of other points. We have competitive impact assessment that evaluates whether monetization activities create unfair advantages, reduce market competition, or harm supplier relationships in ways that undermine long-term procurement effectiveness. Organizations, they must consider whether selling procurement insights provides unfair advantages to competitors, disadvantages existing suppliers, or reduces overall market competitiveness in ways that ultimately then harm their own procurement outcomes. And then if we look at revenue sharing and fair value distribution mechanisms, that ensures that suppliers and partners who contribute data receive appropriate compensation or benefits from monetization activities. We have ethical models, and they are often seen to include revenue sharing agreements, preferential access to insights, or other value sharing mechanisms that then recognize supplier contributions to monetize data products. And just two more aspects. We have transparency and accountability standards that I want to talk about. They do require clear communication about monetization activities and data usage and value creation that enables stakeholders to understand and evaluate the fairness of monetization approaches. And this includes regular reporting on monetization activities, impact assessments, and stakeholder feedback mechanisms that ensure ongoing alignment with ethical standards. And lastly, our long-term relationship preservation to ensure that monetization activities, they strengthen rather than compromise essential supplier relationships and industry partnerships. And sustainable models, they do consider the long-term implications of monetization strategies on supplier trust. We also see industry collaboration and market dynamic there.
Fantastic. Thank you, Charlotte. And thank you, Dr. Milan, as well, for such an insightful episode there. I think we can really see how the model comes together now, and how ethics plays such a huge part in the thinking behind starting really any business that uses AI. From a business startup perspective as well, we can see from this episode the entrepreneurial steps that go through from anyone starting up businesses using an AI driven model, and then the ethics of how that actually plays out for the services it offers, the suppliers involved, and everyone in that picture. So, a hugely insightful episode. Thank you very, very much to both of you. And I look forward to seeing you both on the next episode.
Thanks, Max. Always a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you for having us.